The boy who always said tomorrow. Powerful lesson on time and regret. In a small town surrounded by golden fields and winding rivers, there lived a boy named Arjun. He was known for his charm, his laughter, and one peculiar habit: he always said tomorrow. If his mother asked him to clean his room, he'd smile and say, "I'll do it tomorrow." When his father reminded him to study, he'd reply, "Tomorrow, Papa. There's still time." When his friends invited him to practice football, he'd grin lazily, "Tomorrow. I'm too tired today." And so day after day, Arjun's tomorrows never came. The comfortable present Arjun was bright, perhaps one of the smartest in his class, but his laziness held him back. He believed he had all the time in the world. His teachers often said, "Arjun, you could be great if you just tried." He would nod politely, promising to start tomorrow. He spent most of his days scrolling through his phone, playing games or sitting by the river watching the clouds drift. The world was calm and slow, and he felt safe in his bubble of endless tomorrows. His best friend Ravi was the opposite, hardworking, disciplined, and determined. Ravi practiced football every evening until sunset. He dreamed of becoming a professional player. "Arjun," Ravi often said, "you should come practice with us. You have good aim." "You could make the team," Arjun laughed. "There's plenty of time, Yar. I'll start next week." Ravi shook his head. "One day you'll run out of next weeks." Arjun only smiled, unaware that those words would one day echo painfully in his mind. The missed opportunity one summer. The school announced tryouts for the district football team. The coach promised that whoever made it would get a scholarship and travel to the city for training. Ravi was excited. "This is our chance, Arjun. Come on, let's practice." But Arjun yawned. "Next week for sure. I'll start when it's closer to tryouts." Days passed. Ravi trained hard while Arjun rested easy, convincing himself he'd catch up quickly. But the tryouts came faster than expected. On the morning of the big day, Ravi came running to Arjun's house, already dressed in his jersey. "Let's go. The bus leaves in 30 minutes. Arjun rubbed his eyes. "What? Today? Oh no. I haven't even packed or practiced." "Then hurry up," Ravi urged. But Arjun looked at the sky, sighed, and muttered, "Maybe next year." Ravi frowned but said nothing. He ran to the bus, his heart full of dreams, while Arjun went back to bed, wrapping himself in the comfort of tomorrow. A week later, Ravi returned with a gold medal and a scholarship letter. The entire town celebrated him. Arjun clapped too, smiling, but deep inside a quiet voice whispered, "That could have been you." It was the first time tomorrow had cost him something real. The college year's time passed. Arjun finished school with average marks and joined a local college. Ravi left town to pursue his football career. Though they promised to stay in touch, life slowly drifted them apart. In college, Arjun's habit followed him like a shadow. He always started assignments the night before deadlines, always said he'd study tomorrow, always pushed effort to another day. Yet somehow he managed to scrape by. One evening, as he sat in the library pretending to study, his professor, Mr. Deshmukh, sat beside him. "Arjun," he said gently, "do you know why I worry about you?" Arjun smiled awkwardly. "Because I'm your favorite student?" Mr. Deshmukh chuckled. "No, because you remind me of myself at your age. I too believed there would always be a tomorrow." He looked out the window and continued, "I once wanted to become a writer. I kept saying I'd start next month, next summer, next year. Now I'm 52 and all I have are unwritten stories. Don't make the same mistake, Arjun. Time doesn't wait." Arjun nodded politely, but his heart didn't feel the weight of those words, at least, not yet. The wake-up call years passed quickly, as they often do when one lives on tomorrows. Arjun graduated, but with no real direction. He drifted from job to job, always promising himself that he'd find something better later. Then, one day, he received a call. It was Ravi. "Arjun, I'm coming home next week. There's a football exhibition match in town. You have to come." Hearing his friend's voice filled Arjun with nostalgia. He remembered their childhood dreams, their afternoons by the river, and the tryout he'd missed. "Of course," Arjun said. "I wouldn't miss it for the world." The next week, the stadium buzzed with excitement. The crowd chanted Ravi's name. He was strong, confident, and radiant with success. When Arjun saw him, a strange feeling filled his chest. Not jealousy, but regret. After the game, they met. Ravi hugged him warmly. Bro, it's been so long. How are you? Arjun smiled weakly. I'm okay. Just working here and there. Ravi looked at him kindly. You still have that spark in your eyes, but you look tired. What's been going on? Arjun hesitated, then sighed. I don't know, Ravi. I keep waiting for the right time to start something big. But somehow the right time never comes. Ravi placed a hand on his shoulder. Because it doesn't. The right time doesn't exist. You create it. Those words struck Arjun like lightning. He realized that all his life he had been waiting for something that would never come. A perfect tomorrow. That night he couldn't sleep. He kept hearing Ravi's voice and remembered every missed opportunity. Every time he'd said, I'll do it tomorrow. He opened his drawer and found an old notebook where he'd once written his childhood dreams. Becoming an author, starting a business, traveling the world. All those dreams were now covered in dust. For the first time in his life, Arjun felt afraid, not of failure, but of time. He finally understood that tomorrow is the most dangerous word when it becomes a habit. The turning point. The next morning, Arjun woke up early. For the first time, he didn't reach for his phone or close his eyes again. He sat by the window and watched the sunrise, the world painted in gold. This is it, he whispered. No more tomorrows. He decided to start with one dream, writing. He bought a cheap notebook, wrote day one on the first page, and began. The words were awkward at first, but they were his. He wrote every morning before work, no matter how tired he was. Some days he wanted to quit, but he reminded himself that quitting was just another form of tomorrow. Weeks turned into months. He began publishing short stories online. Slowly, readers started noticing his work. Comments trickled in. People thanked him, saying his words inspired them. Every success, no matter how small, lit a fire in him. For the first time, Arjun felt alive, truly alive. The lesson of regret. One evening, he received a letter. It was from Mr. Deshmukh, his old professor. Dear Arjun, I read your stories. You've found your voice, and I'm proud of you. Remember, the secret of success is not talent, it's timing. Most people waste their best years waiting for the perfect moment. You stopped waiting. Keep going. Tears welled up in Arjun's eyes. He realized how many tomorrows he had already wasted, years that would never return. But he also realized something more powerful. Regret doesn't have to end your story. It can begin a new one. He wrote a story about a boy who always said tomorrow, who lost chances, friends, and dreams until he finally understood the value of today. It became his most popular story ever. The Man Who Finally Said Today. A few years later, Arjun published his first book, The Boy Who Always Said Tomorrow. It was a reflection of his own life, a story about procrastination, regret, and redemption. The book became a hit. He was invited to give talks at schools and colleges, where he shared his story honestly, hoping others would learn from his mistakes. At one such event, a student raised his hand and asked, Sir, what's the biggest lesson you've learned in life? Arjun smiled and replied, that every tomorrow you waste becomes a regret you'll carry forever. If something matters to you, start today. Even if it's small, even if it's imperfect, start. Time doesn't wait, but it rewards those who respect it. The hall was silent, but every heart felt the weight of his words. Full circle years later, Arjun sat by the same river where he used to daydream as a boy. The air smelled of rain and the water rippled gently. He thought about the people he'd met, the lessons he'd learned, and the journey that began the day he stopped saying tomorrow. He smiled softly. If only I had known sooner, he thought. But then he realized, perhaps he had learned exactly when he was meant to. At that moment, a group of schoolboys ran past him laughing. One of them shouted to his friend, Let's practice tomorrow. Arjun chuckled and called out, Hey, young man, don't wait for tomorrow. Start today. The boy grinned. Why, uncle? Arjun smiled, eyes twinkling. Because I once waited for tomorrow and it never came. The boy nodded thoughtfully and Arjun watched them run ahead, full of energy, full of life. He felt peace knowing that maybe, just maybe, his story would stop someone else from wasting theirs. Moral of the story: time is the most generous and the most unforgiving teacher. It gives you opportunities every day, but it never gives them twice. You can lose money and earn it again. You can lose people and find new ones. But once you lose time, it's gone forever. The tragedy of life isn't that it ends too soon. It's that we wait too long to start living. So if you've been saying tomorrow to your dreams, your goals, your health, or your happiness, stop. The only day you truly have is today.